It is so easy to get narrowed down on the tiny details of things that are all over bodybuilding and fitness social media, especially whenever it comes to building muscle or developing an aesthetic body. And it seems like every month there is a new hot trend going on, and it makes it almost impossible to see the big picture, which leaves us overwhelmed with the amount of information available to us. It's it's overwhelming. And there's advice everywhere on things to do, diets to do, training advice, and it leaves us either A, confused of where to start, or B, unsure of where to go whenever our progress stalls, or unsure of where to go whenever we haven't even made any progress. And so I remember about 4 years ago, it all clicked for me whenever I started to think about the body and how to create an ideal environment for muscle growth. So I want you to imagine this for a second. Imagine that your body is a factory, and that factory has to produce a product. So in a factory, you've got the environment and infrastructure, you've got the raw materials to produce said product, and then you have the systems and processes to make manufacturing more efficient so that more product and more profit can be made in the future. For muscle building, this looks like the environment being sleep and stress regulation, the raw materials being macronutrients, and the micronutrients being the systems and processes that make the manufacturing more efficient. So our bodies have certain aspects about it that make it in place to do stuff and to create an efficient environment. Of course, everything has to play synergistically, so one thing is not more important than the other. And you have to be able to understand that all of these things are always flowing together. And so sleep is absolutely vital. And so most people are going to need 7 to 8 hours a night. When you sleep, you optimize, one, your hormones, so growth hormone, testosterone, and you optimize the regulation of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. If you're constantly stressed out, your body's not going to want to produce muscle. It's going to want to figure out how the hell to get your stress down, because its top priority is not building muscle. It's keeping you alive and getting rid of that stress. When you're in a deep sleep, your body releases more growth hormone, and a lack of sleep is going to hinder the amount at which that can be produced. Two, sleep is huge on repair and recovery. When you sleep, your body repairs your muscles. It repairs everything going on that has been stressed out. Not only that, it also boosts your immune system. If you think about it, if you're sick a decent amount of the time, that could lead to multiple months throughout a year where you're not training. And over the course of time, 3-4 years, that's an entire year's worth of training that you're not going to get back. So sleeping is also important to make sure that you stay healthy, not get sick, so you can keep going to the gym. But third, it helps with replenishing your energy so that you feel good. You can go into the gym, you can have more intense workouts, you can drive muscle protein synthesis through training relatively close to failure or to a threshold that you haven't been to before, so that whenever your body does recover, it can rebound and get back above that baseline. And then four, sleep helps with your mental focus and your drive. When you sleep, you handle your emotions better. When you handle your emotions better, you feel like doing more stuff. And when you do more stuff, lo and behold, you get more of the result that you want. And once you start getting more of that result you want, you get motivated even more, and your drive even continues to go harder. So sleep is important for hormones, repair, recovery, energy replenishment, and your mental focus and your drive. So sleep and stress management are key factors in optimizing your body to become an anabolic machine. To ensure that your environment is anabolic, you have to sleep to get ample time to recover, because whenever you train, your body is in a catabolic state. When you sleep, your body goes anabolic. And so something just to note that a lot of people, at least what switched for me, is whenever I started thinking of recovery not as getting back to baseline, but getting to above baseline. Because if you're recovering and you're only getting back to where you were, you're not building anything. You're just staying where you're at. So the goal is to be able to train hard enough and then sleep and then get above where you were before, which this is indicated through consistent progressive overload in the gym, doing more reps, more sets, etc., etc. So now let's look at the raw materials. The raw materials are your macronutrients: carbs, fats, proteins. So these raw materials are what's going to build the actual product. And so before I get into each of them, I understand that you have keto, you have carnivore diets. I'm not saying you cannot build muscle that way. For the sake of this I'm talking optimization and being as efficient as possible, since that's how I am. And as I go into this, there's a little bit of nerd stuff just because I am a nerd and people that want to know a little bit more about it. I'm going to assume that you would enjoy hearing about this. So with that being said, let's look at protein. Protein is the building blocks of muscles, and proteins like myosin and actin they basically give the muscles power to contract and relax. So let's zoom in on amino acids. There's 20 essential types. So let's zoom in on amino acids. There's 20 essential types, and there's a diverse array of them. And each amino acid contains a nitrogen atom, which is crucial for forming the amino group that defines it. Nitrogen making up anywhere, I'm not 100% sure, I believe it's 10 to 20% of the amino acid's weight. It's pivotal in the structure of protein, which is going to affect muscle function. And in the world of muscle metabolism, it's a game of balance. Muscle growth happens when protein synthesis rates surpass protein breakdown rates, which leads to a positive nitrogen balance, which is what is making things more efficient. So optimal muscle growth demands a precise amount of protein intake. And whenever I say precise, I'm not talking down to the gram. I just mean 1 gram per pound of body weight is generally very broadly accepted good advice. Always going to be a safe bet. That's all I've ever done. That's how I prefer to do it. And this ensures that there is enough nitrogen available for muscle growth and repair, and leading you into a positive nitrogen balance, which makes building muscle that much more efficient. Now, because there are so many different types of amino acids, I personally also like to get a variety of different protein sources. So red meats, poultry, and egg proteins are 3 that I try to get every day. So each of my 3 meals have at least one of those. And I don't know, you don't really have to. That's just how I prefer it, because I would rather have all of my bases covered, especially if I like the foods. So that's just how I prefer to do it, but take that how you will. Now, let's look at carbohydrates. Carbs, first, are insanely economically friendly. I can get a bag at Costco of 20 to 25 pound rice and have it for God knows how long, and it's cheap. Same with oats. I remember during the first part of the pandemic, I bought a big-ass bag of rice. I think I had that bag of rice for almost a year. Lasted forever. So 1, it's going to be friendly to your wallet. But 2, carbs are your body's preferred energy source. And carbs are conductors of crucial hormonal orchestras that manage energy and metabolism. So carbs trigger a release of insulin, which is the primary anabolic hormone for building muscle. Now, insulin is the key player in managing glucose, which is fuel for your muscles. So it's kind of like a bouncer at a club. It's directing glucose into the cells for energy. But not only that, carbs also stimulate gut hormones like GLP-1, which is glucagon-like peptide. And these hormones have a domino effect, which influences everything from insulin release to appetite control to slowing down digestion, which is going to make you feel full. And it's also going to assist in the absorption of all these nutrients for muscle repair. And so this balance is crucial for maintaining a steady supply of glucose throughout the day, which is vital for muscle building, which could also be an argument why, if you are going to eat rice, for instance, make sure you're also eating protein with that rice. So carbs that have high glycemic indexes, you can eat proteins and fats, which may actually cause, the how quickly, I guess, they release into your bloodstream. It can slow it down a little bit, which leads to a more steady stream. I'm not a nutritionist, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of how, Japanese and Asian have eaten white rice for years and tend to be a lot healthier. It's because they also eat it with vegetables, proteins, fats, and everything else. So there's a note on carbs. Now let's look at fats. So fats generally help absorb a lot of fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, K, and they all play a vital role in various bodily functions for muscle health and growth. So certain types of fats, particularly omega-3 fatty acids, so like fish oil, krill oil, can positively influence testosterone levels, which is also a key hormone for muscle growth and strength, which an increased testosterone promotes protein synthesis and muscle development. But they can also help regulate hormones like cortisol, which is the stress hormone, which can break down muscle tissue, which maintaining balanced cortisol levels through proper intake of healthy fats creates a more favorable environment for your muscles to grow. And so these fats are also essential compounds for the cell membranes, including muscle cell membranes. So consuming sufficient healthy fats, avocados, extra virgin olive oil, not heated, coconut oil, nuts, all that fun stuff are important for, just supporting the hormonal profiles of your body and also being able to deliver certain micronutrients into muscles and throughout your bloodstream. But as far as how much you should consume, I personally, basically whatever my diet is at the time, I do about 20% of my diet being fats. And that's just it for me, that's what works best, because I've also noticed whenever I go above that, I tend to hold on. It tends to get stored to more fat. And so my personal physique isn't quite as developed whenever I tend to have higher fat, because fat is initially stored as fat, whereas carbs kind of do a bunch of different things and aren't immediately stored as fat. Fats are stored as fat until you run out of so much glycogen, then your body starts to use that fat as an energy source. So just something to note. So as far as the overall macronutrient breakdown, how I do it, I do 20% of my daily calories from fat, 1 gram a pound per body weight of protein. So if you're 200 grams, that's going to be 800 calories. And then the rest of my calories for the day come from carbs. And now I do try to do healthier carbs, not as many simple sugars and such, but pre-workout, I'll throw down a few Rice Krispie treats. That's just what it is. And then I just kind of go from there. So now let's look at micronutrients. Think of micronutrients as the catalyst for a lot of these processes in terms of efficiency. So let's look at energy metabolism. So burning carbohydrates and fats for energy to fuel and muscle repair. Protein synthesis, converting dietary protein into amino acids and using that to build new muscle tissue. DNA synthesis, creating new muscle cells so that you can have more muscle later on and more growth and repair. And so another thing that micronutrients can help with is antioxidant protection. So intense exercise generates free radicals, which damages molecules, and it can hinder muscle recovery and growth. So micronutrients like vitamin C and vitamin E and selenium act as antioxidants, which neutralize these free radicals and protect muscle tissue from oxidative stress. Micronutrients also help with hormone regulation. So it's been, shown that vitamin D and zinc contribute to healthy testosterone levels. Vitamin B6 and magnesium are somewhat involved in growth hormone production and release, which further promotes muscle growth. Insulin, certain minerals like chromium can improve insulin sensitivity and ensuring, efficient glucose uptake for energy and muscle building. So as you can see, all of these things play a role, and all of them kind of play together in order to increase the amount of muscle that you want. So if you are lacking in micronutrients, first, I'll always recommend just get a daily multivitamin. That's an easy one. I like my personal favorite ones that I like to use. I use a lot of magnesium. I've noticed it helps with it's helped with my workouts, helps with sleep, magnesium glycinate specifically, because if you get a magnesium and it's magnesium oxide, your body it's not like absorbing hardly any of it. So that is something that's worth paying a little bit extra for, but the returns on it are incredible. Highly recommend that. Vitamin B12 helps break down carbs for energy and contribute to protein synthesis. I like zinc as well. Make sure you take it with a meal. Wreck your stomach if you eat it on an empty stomach. So, in short, from all of this, too long, didn't watch the video, this is that. Get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Eat 1 gram per pound of body weight. 20% of your calories coming from carbs. Eat 1 gram per pound of body weight. 20% of your calories from fats. The rest from carbs. And ideally in a caloric surplus. Eat a variety of foods. And at a minimum, I always say supplement with a multivitamin and magnesium, but I'm not a doctor. That's just how I do things. These are all what I do. You may have different requirements for where you're at. However, I will say if you have serious metabolic issues or health issues, type 2 diabetes, or you're at risk for it, insulin resistance, all that, please seek a medical professional because they're going to be helping you out a lot more than I even can, and they can legally do it. So with that being said, I am starting a newsletter. I will start to have that in the description below so you can sign up for it. I will be releasing, everything from kind of what I'm learning, things I'm thinking about, and hopefully things that can kind of help you out on, your journey through fitness and building muscle. But feel free to leave a comment if you have any other questions. But until next time, I appreciate you. Peace.